Hey guys, it's Walker Deibel, author of Buy Then Build and creator of the Acquisition Lab. Today, what I want to talk about is one of the single biggest mistakes that I made when acquiring $16.5 million in revenue in existing businesses over 10 years. So there's a couple of things that if I were to do it all over again, that I would change. And I think that, like I stated, over a 10-year period, I ended up acquiring $16.5 million in revenue, and that was really just where we started, right? Like I effectively grew it from there. And so the point is looking back, there was two things that that I would do differently. The first is that I sort of approached it at thinking that I could kind of like buy all these businesses in these different verticals and be diversified and sort of run it like a micro, the smallest private equity fund you've never heard of, kind of a thing, right? And what ended up happening was at one time, I bought the first company, I ended up selling it, and then using those proceeds to go out and acquire 6 other companies, along with leverage from the bank, and sometimes a little from the seller. But the point is I ended up acquiring all these different businesses, and I ended up acquiring them in 3 completely different verticals, okay? And almost all 3 of those, let's say 2 of those, acquired more businesses in that vertical, okay? And the thing is that all of that combined ended up being 16.5 million, all right? Now, if I had focused on one single vertical and just bought all 16.5 million in one vertical a little bit at a time, it would have been a way better strategy. And there's a couple of reasons why. One, when you build a company that has 16.5 million in revenue, let's just say you run it for a couple of years and grow it to 20 million. It's an easier number to talk about. So when you run a $20 million company, let's say you've got whatever $4 million in EBITDA, the value of that company is significantly higher than if you had for example $4 or $5 million businesses, okay? And that's even more valuable than 16 $1 million businesses. The reason why is because, number one, you get multiple expansions. So as your company grows and as the earnings grow, institutional capital comes in, and there's a lot more demand for businesses that are generating 3 million or more in earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. If you don't know what that is, forgive me. If you do know what it is, I know exactly, what I'm talking about. So once you find that earnings number, adjusted EBITDA, as I just described it, is one of these things where the bigger it gets, the higher the valuation of those earnings. They call it a multiple. Okay, it sort of symbolizes a discounted cash flow. But the point is as you grow and get bigger, that company is ultimately, the same dollars are worth more upon an exit, okay? Number 2, and probably bigger, I'm gonna quote the Netflix film Print the Legend. When that movie opens, you have Brad Feld, one of the most renowned venture capitalists in Silicon Valley, opens with a quote. And what he says is that, when you're a leader, when you're a CEO, every day something comes up and smacks you in the face. And it's true, okay? And what happened to me was that because I was running 3 different verticals, okay, every single day, every single one of these companies had something come up, right? And every single time my phone would ring, I would kind of answer it, and it would be like a different business model, a different team, a different value proposition, a different customer profile, a different geographical territory. And I would have to make decisions, sort of based on how to run that company, or, tactical decisions or strategic decisions, either proactively or, kind of on my heels, kind of a thing, right? It might be HR, it might be a customer issue, it might be a deliverable issue or a quality assurance issue of some kind, a mistake, and you've got to kind of get back in the game and call that customer up and say, listen, this went wrong. We're gonna make it right. Don't worry, we're on it. We're working the weekend. You'll have it on Monday, just to make up an example. These, of course, are calls that I've made, and you will too once you buy a company. It's not right every single time. Even when you're Six Sigma, there's room for error. So the point is, that's what I would change. My head was on swivel, And it got to a point that I needed to take things off my plate just for my own sanity, okay? And so I ended up selling my B2B fulfillment company, not because the strategy had come full circle. We had grown the business. The general manager of that company was ready to move on, but ultimately we sold that company because I had too many things going on. And so I acquired myself into a state of being too thin, okay? So my recommendation, I always say when you go out and buy a business, people say, Walker, I want to do what you did. I want to buy a whole bunch of companies. And I say, listen, buy one. Run it and manage it for 7 years. Build value, okay? This is how you're going to get the most out of your experience, both, living the life that you want, that entrepreneurial lifestyle, living the highest, most engaged life possible, and, being able to realize the financial returns of the largest asset class of all time, which is, experienced in the private capital markets. Listen, thanks so much. If you are interested in buying a company in the next 12 to 18 months, this is why we created the Acquisition Lab. It's world-class instruction, group coaching, a suite of tools, and a vetted community of buyers. And now, because of our vetted community, we're also getting interest from equity investors as well, which is building a flywheel of deals and equity and learning. And so thank you so much. Looking forward to your application at acquisitionlab.com, and see you soon.